All right, so once we get to this position, I'm just gonna walk over some of the details one last time. Trapping this knee so he can't pull it out and get this leg back in front. I want to pin this leg here. Once I get to this position where I have my knees pinching around his knee line and my hand is still on the pants, oops. So my hand is still on the pants, I bring this hand to the hip here. Bringing this hand to the hip is gonna block that knee shield. Once I bring my hand to the hip, at the same time that I bring my hand to the hip, I'm turning perpendicular to his body and bringing this knee into his hip here, like this, okay? I'm trying to stop him from getting half guard as soon as possible. So sometimes I'll lift my foot off the ground just a little bit. So when he tries to reach for half guard, my leg's just kind of over his leg. But this can result in a pass in itself, but that's not what we're focusing on today, but it's just one little thing you can add to kind of give him more trouble as you get to your smash half position. He's still gonna be trying to get that leg and he may get it regardless, which is what we want here, because we're trying to go into smash half and pass through his half guard. But that little windshield wipe can help you just get sneaky passes sometimes. So just a little side note there. Once I'm in this position, look how my arms are pinched in really tight. And I'm just here, like I'm not putting any pressure on his upper body. And that's okay, because I'm controlling his legs so much and my arm is blocking this knee shield position. And having my elbows in like this stops him from being able to get underhooks. Because if he tries to get underhooks here, it just helps me to just drop my head and he's not able to get any sort of control. If I start reaching, that's when people just get underhooks and then you end up just like holding over their head, and this is good for him. This is where someone wants to be in half guard. This is the entire position that you're trying to avoid. Underhooks just kill your passing game. If he gets an underhook, you cannot pass. It's very difficult. You have to transition to like a front headlock or do something else. So elbows super tight in this position, controlling here and here. Now, the first step is to put my forehead right on this shoulder. See how he's instinctively turning into me, because this is how he builds his frame that I can't get past. This is how he weaves his underhook. Everything's from here. So while I'm still in this position and he hasn't been able to set up any of those defenses yet, that's when I'm putting my head down and onto the shoulder to flatten his body out here, okay? So I flatten his body out like this. That's gonna create a kind of a twist in his back. And if you've ever tried to like lift someone off you while your hips are twisted, you can feel that it's very difficult and it almost feels like you might hurt yourself. So you're putting him in this compromised body position where he can't really exert a lot of force, right? So now when I'm here, let's rotate this way. I want to be getting my underhook. Once my head hits his shoulder, primary goal is underhook on that same side arm, okay? My hand's already in place. You'll notice I'm not putting my head over his arm here like this. That just gives him a solid frame. I'm seated up and away from him. My hands are here. If he tries to sit up into me, I'm just dropping my head down in front of the arm and then sliding it up. And now this hand just follows the rib line up under the arm. So he never has an opportunity to block that. If I stay here and I just reach here, he's just gonna get an underhook of his own. So you need to use your head in this situation. All the power comes from a butterfly grip. You don't wanna be here with your hands. If you just look, if I grab palm to palm, there's a lot of space in here. I have to really use a lot of arm strength to like get to a tight position. The tighter your butterfly grip is, the less space there is, and the more you can use your traps. And make sure that the wrist is like curved and this one goes underneath his head. I'm not as worried about like trying to choke him with the shoulder as much as just getting his chin up like this. Because if you're driving his chin back and up, it's gonna kind of create an urgency to like push and get away. And that's how we're gonna start actually passing the guard. All right, so we're just gonna get to the smash half for this next part of the sequence. So I still want you to do the whole thing. Here, pinch, here, head down, underhook, here, heavy butterfly here like this, and start driving him up and over your arms. You can kind of see how his back comes off the ground as I put pressure. The middle of his back, like right here, comes off because it kind of has to arch up. That's how you know you're putting a ton of pressure on his neck and upper body. He can't put a frame, and that's gonna open up the legs, okay? Blocking the hip, head down first, underhook side, the neck pressure side, shoulder pressure side, and then into a butterfly grip, keeping your knees pinched. And then once you're here, you're just walking forward and putting your head on the ground, and your feet can kind of come off the ground like this. You can keep them on the ground as well, but I like to kind of lift his leg that I have in half guard, because if his leg's on the mat, that means he has power. But if you're lifting it a little bit, now he only has one leg to use power. So all these little details add up to create a very strong smash half position, okay? Let's do it, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, go super deep, but keep that butterfly, because if you don't bend your wrist, it's just flat. It's more comfortable for him. But if you bend the wrist, it creates a ledge that now when you drive, Look how your shoulder's not underneath his chin. So on the entry, that shoulder needs to be underneath the chin here, and then your chin has to be over his shoulder too, right by his ear. And then as you drive in, put your forehead on the mat. So you're driving so far forward in that position. Now, if you were to like create space at your hips and get to a butterfly position, you can just keep your hips in the air and keep driving, and it's not even a big deal. That's not the pass that we're doing, but if you really secure to his head like that and put your weight super heavy, he can't like elevate you up and over. It just really locks it in place.
So with having long arms, you find sometimes that you have to like really like.
Length is strength, dude. Yeah, that's how you use it. Shorter arms, long arms, you can put pressure regardless. Yeah.